Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tipster Tuesday. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I hope that you went and whipped up a turmeric latte to join me this morning. I did. I just did it. And I will make sure that I post the recipe in Live Naturally Tools as well. If you follow me on my other Instagram, it's live.more.life. More like my last name, M-O-O-R-E, so Live More Life. And it is posted in there as well on my wall. So anyway, I'll make sure I get it posted in both places and highlight it as a story. A builder on my team shared it with me at a class, and then I modified it and added some things, and I feel like it's wonderfully perfect now. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. But if you haven't yet dove into the turmeric latte world, it's really a turmeric steamer. And so don't get confused and think that we're adding banana and all these weird things to our coffee, because I am a coffee lover and that just seems blasphemous. So that's not what we're doing. It's really a steamer. But anyway, welcome. Today we're just going to dive into questions that you guys had. Occasionally, about once every few months or so, I kind of throw a Ask Me Anything, and I'll do a Q&A and do the best I can. So we had about 30 or so different questions asked, and some of them are actually bigger topics than I can handle in just a quick response. Some of them I've addressed before in a Tipster Tuesday, so I'm going to direct you to those things so you can go back and watch like a full 30-minute segment on your question, but some of them we'll be able to dive into. So if I don't get to your question, don't worry about it. Some of the topics just were really big, like how to engage builders. And I feel like that could be a whole Tipster Tuesday in and of itself. And we'll talk a lot about culture and stuff. So I just wrote a few of those things down for future topics. So just so you know, if I don't get to your question, I'm not ignoring you. It just might be too big, or I've already answered it and I'll help guide you to the answer. And you guys, it's so fun right now. I'm sitting in my office, I guess, obviously, but we have these 3 deer that just won't leave our yard. They're just hanging out. They're eating the pumpkins I threw in the forest. They're eating my bird seed. And I love them. They're so pretty. I love them so much. So I am going to try really hard not to get distracted, but they're like right there by my window. Hi, pretty girl. I'm telling you, I love nature. Okay, so we're going to dive into questions. Oh, one thing I'm going to show you guys. Just give me 1 second. If you haven't seen it yet, I had these on my floor because I was working on my floor last night. But if you haven't seen these yet, we have brand new products. Our holiday cards just came out. They're so pretty. We have one that says joy, one that says it's a new year, and one that says happy holidays. And they're postcards, so the back are plain. And you can write a beautiful note and stick these in the mail. And they come with a natural, like brown paper envelope as well. So you can mail them as a regular card, but it is a postcard, so just one side. And you get 12 in a pack for $6. And they're on our website right now on Live Naturally Tools. So you can snag those if you want them. And they match kind of the style of our holiday recipes. There's a download of our favorite holiday recipes with labels too. And it all kind of coincides and matches. So if you want to do holiday make and takes or a holiday team party or anything like that, it's just a helpful thing to have. So I wanted to make sure you knew that that was up. Ready to go. Okay, let's dive into questions. Okay, some of them I have your names on them and I'll say it, but if you ask questions in Instagram, it's your Instagram handle, so sometimes people don't know who you are. But anyway, Nancy asked, what's your favorite way to touch back with someone who said they wanted oils, you've texted, chatted a bunch of times, and they never get them? How do you do it without being a pest? I think this is such a good question because we know the fortune is in the follow-up, but we want to follow up strategically and we want to follow up with grace. And that can be just a tricky thing to navigate. And so, and I'm actually in this predicament myself right now, Nancy. So what I would want to tell you is there's always a reason to serve them instead of pester them. So if you come at it thinking I'm pestering them, or you feel like you're pestering them, or you are pestering them, let's try to change that and think of how can I serve this person? You know, because usually if they are truly interested, they are going to get oils. And there's just maybe a reason there's a delay. Maybe they are waiting for something like Christmas, or maybe they're waiting for some wiggle room in their budget, or maybe they need to have a higher pain point, like a sickness, before they're like, oh, I have to buckle down and do this order. I've done that before where I'm like, I need to order this. I need to order this. Like right now, I have no tools for our fireplaces, none. And we've lived here for a couple months now. We've probably, now that it's cold, have fires every single day. And every day I go and poke the fire with just a stick. And I'm like, I need stinking fireplace tools. Why haven't I ordered them? But then out of sight, out of mind. And so I will encourage you to just think that people might actually really want them, and then it's just out of sight, out of mind because they're busy. Another thing is if we treat our organization like a garden and we're tending our garden, the last thing we want to do is go over to our plants and be like, grow, I want you to grow, water, sunshine, I'm doing all the things, grow. And it's like this like sense of like, I need action. But the truth is you have tons of plants to tend to. You have tons to do. And so we don't need to focus too much on the one plant that isn't growing or isn't responding to us, okay? So all that to say, those are just perspective things. So I think of ways to serve them. For example, this month with the fact that they can get a $50 credit to their account if they enroll, I would say, hey, I know you've been thinking about enrolling, haven't pulled the trigger yet. This is going to be your month. There's this promotion. I knew you would want to know about it. I'll send you the link to the kits again. Let me know which one sparks your interest, and I'd love to help get you started. So you're just assuming that they're going to start and that they're going to love what you have to offer. Another thing is you could send them something like it's the holiday time. Don't be afraid to sample them something else, and not if they're like sample. I'm trying to think of a good word without saying something that I'm like, not they're like sample mongers, okay? Where they're just like, can I try this? Can I try this? Not that, but like maybe they really haven't been truly sampled, or they came to a class and they're still kind of on the edge. Maybe sending them a few throat drops and a deep blue rub packet, something like that, and just saying, I thought of you, I knew you'd love to try these, and kind of showing them that doTERRA has a few more things than just oils might be helpful. But it's just tending to a garden. So think of it like that. And I would say about every month or so you could connect with them. I always let them know when I have classes, and I have classes at my house. And so I change up when I have them. I often have them on a Thursday night, but I have like some people in particular that can never do Thursday. So this week I'm doing a lunch and learn where I'll have soup and salad and teach a class at my house. And so I'm like, hey, I know that Thursday nights weren't working for you, but I do have this lunch and learn. I thought you'd want to know about it. I'd love to have you come over for lunch, and you just kind of soft sell it in that sense. So I hope that helps you, Nancy. Okay. Sienna has a question. I hope I'm saying your name right. It's pretty. It's like a C-Anna. I think it's Sienna. Anyway, or maybe Sienna. Would love to know about more when or how you decided to become an LLC or business entity, and what pros of doing that. Also, what do you do about finding a good tax professional? Okay. I can not necessarily recommend a good tax professional because we're in transition personally, but if we get sorted out, I'll let you guys know, and then send that to you. But the other thing is, when becoming an LLC, you do definitely want to do that, and it's usually around the rank of gold that people tend to go in that direction, where they're like, this is actually a real business. It's like full-time income at this point. I don't have to work another job, and this, like, doTERRA is kind of like our bread and butter in a sense, okay? So this is my non-professional, non-accountant opinion, knowledge on that. Another thing to note is it's really great to have it started for the beginning of the year. So if you want to start an LLC, I would recommend getting your ducks in a row now so that it's active January 1st. For the full tax year. So just a couple things to think about. You definitely want professional help with that. You definitely should not just like do it all yourself. I mean, you can do your LLC yourself online, but just seek out somebody that will consult with you about that before you go in that direction. Okay, those things will be helpful. It doesn't mean you can't start an LLC before the rank of gold. I just would get some professional counsel on that. And just note that not everyone knows or understands that this business can and does often grow really quickly. So they might think, well, you're not really making that much money, but you might know you're on the cusp of a rank advancement and you're about to increase your income drastically. So just make sure you're communicating that this isn't kind of a normal raise bonus system. This is actually kind of quite exponential compared to other jobs. But that's about all that I can say, because you really need a professional to guide you in those things legally. Okay. All right. Mariana Zook said, I'm trying to explain why enrolling versus I think buying retail is important. Lots of people buy oils from the shelf in the store. Okay, so this is the thing. What I love to do is explain to people if they're interested in essential oils and I have an appointment with them, meaning they're either in my house for a class or I have a one-on-one with them, I explain the quality difference, because I want them to understand that there's a difference between what we find in the store and what doTERRA has. And my best analogy that I got from my friend Lindsay is I compare maple syrup to them. Okay, so I said, this is very similar to maple syrup. You, I'm sure, have had pure maple syrup, and it's delicious, and we know it's tapped straight from the tree, and it's good for our bodies, and it has nutrition in it, it's delicious. And then there's the alternative, which would be like a Mrs. Butterworth maple syrup that we can buy at the grocery store. And now it looks like maple syrup. It mimics maple syrup. There's actually not even maple syrup in that product. It's caramel coloring and fragrance and fructose. And so that is a drastic difference in what many would maybe consider even the same product. And so that's very similar to doTERRA versus other essential oils. So when you kind of give them an analogy they can grasp onto, because essential oils might be brand new to them, it's like everything comes alive and they'll remember that forever. They'll be like, oh yeah. And the truth is, you guys, I would never give my kids Mrs. Butterworth, because it's just like fructose and garbage. And I don't want them to have that. And so for me, I want what's best for them. The other thing you can help them understand is co-impact sourcing, and do what's best for me is best for the world. And so it's kind of like, listen, if I'm going to be putting things on my kids to help encourage their bodies to stay healthy and strong, I need to make sure that everything that I'm purchasing is actually helping someone else somewhere and not hurting someone else somewhere. And that's so true of all of our purchases. This is why I broke up with Nike recently. But that's a whole nother thing. But it's because of the way that they source or manufacture their products. And so you could talk about that as well. But the thing is, just make sure that anything that you share it with conviction, enthusiasm, and passion, and people are going to be completely convinced. So it's not like, okay, so I got to tell you this. Don't be insecure about it. Just go for it and say, listen, this is why they're the best, and let them make up their own mind. But they're going to believe you because you're telling the truth and you're doing it with conviction and passion. Okay. All right. Thierry, I think is your name, Tiari. What do you do when you only have one family income and your husband doesn't support you? When I have a great month, he seems to be on board, but the harder, slower months, nothing. It's like he wants the money-making part, but he really doesn't support me building the business. That's a really tricky one, I would say. And there's just different ways to make this work. And I would think that many people actually can understand that there's like a little bit of tension when you start your own business, especially if you were a stay-at-home mom first, or you had another job that was like dependable and had a sense of security to it. And now you're giving your free time, which maybe you would normally be serving your husband or keeping your house in order or taking care of the kids, now is spent towards a business. So that in general is going to cause some type of tension. And without the fruit coming in necessarily, you could see why that tension would maybe be there. I don't think it's actually abnormal, or even that your husband's a bad guy or anything like that. I just think this is kind of how life goes, and it takes a while for us to find our footing in that. And not everyone has a husband that's like straight on board right away. And so anyway, just to encourage you, these things can kind of sort themselves out with time. But I would say, if you can work on your business when it doesn't pull away from your family, that can be very helpful. If you can have a great conversation and sit down and say, listen, I want you to trust me with this. I need your support. If I'm going to make this work, I need to know you're in my court with this. Can you help me understand your feelings about this? and let them share, because sometimes they might not feel like they have a voice in it. A great line that I learned from my friend Leah Graham in conversation is just tell me more about that. And so when you start this conversation, he's like, well, I don't really like this part of it. And he's like, well, tell me more about that. And just let them share what's going on with them. And it might help actually soothe things, because we can make up in our minds what people are upset about or why there's tension and things like that. And sometimes it's actually not exactly what we think. Like the thing is never the thing. And so I just want to encourage you to kind of be open to having a great conversation there. And the other thing is, maybe it just depends on your personality and dynamics, but like for me, that would just drive me to be successful, you know, to like prove, like I like to prove it. And so if that drives you, maybe that'll drive you in that direction. I don't know. Everybody's really different. So I'm not saying you have to do that. But maybe you're like, yeah, I will. I'm just going to be successful and he'll see it, you know. It's up to you. But I just want to encourage you, don't quit, because this is something that is, it's so powerful. It's something you can be so proud of being part of. It's something that is truly making a difference in the world. It will change who you are in really good ways. And so stay the course with that, and maybe just be, you know, have patience with the whole process, because the process is part of it that actually is going to cause you to grow the most. Okay, Bridget, you asked, what are your favorite apps? What are my favorite apps? Must have, so I can uninstall the rest for your phone. It's tricky. I know, life and business together, we need to declutter things. I don't have a ton of apps, you guys. I'm not a technology, my phone is actually being used right now, but like I only have the apps on my front page that I use the most. Like WordSwag, I use a ton, because that's how I make like a quick Instagram post or an invitation for a class. I use it for that type of thing. So that's up there first. I'm trying to think some of the other ones that I use all the time. PicTapGo is my photo editor. I use that one a lot. PicTapGo. It's Pic, like P-I-C, tap, T-A-P-G-O, PicTapGo. It's yellow. I'm trying to think what else I use. Voxer I use, but like honestly, I don't use a ton. I don't app a ton. I don't even know if that's a word. I just turn off my notifications, and basically a lot of times what I do is like just the same way I would clean out my closet. I go through my phone. I'm like, this isn't serving me. I've never used this. I downloaded it thinking I needed it. I don't. And I just like start deleting them. And so I probably have way less apps than probably the normal smartphone owner. I just don't feel like you need a lot of them. So maybe I'm a bad person to ask, because I just like resist the notifications and the constant like influx and like demand that technology can place on us. I try to buck that system so hard. So I get rid of a lot of those things. Even Messenger, I don't have on my phone, and I don't check hardly ever. I just kind of have set my boundaries really clear on those things. So it works really well for me. I feel good about that. Okay. You guys, it's hilarious when you get angry faces, like angry. And I'm like, what does that mean? Are you angry at me? Are you angry at yourself for having too many apps? It's very tricky to do Facebook Live and get angry faces. I'm just saying, it just is. Okay. Kat says, let's talk about the scary word network marketing. How do you encourage your new builders to understand how doTERRA business is so different than many other companies? Yeah, so it is so different, isn't it? And one of the things I would just say is you don't necessarily have to convince anyone, you just show them, you just model it. So doTERRA culture wasn't like, it wasn't like beat down my throat that it was different. I just saw that it was different. And every time I was like looking for, you know, maybe an issue, or every time that I was looking for a reason to not do doTERRA, because I was looking for a lot of those in the beginning, I saw that it was different. I saw that my friends were drawn to what I was doing and not repelled by it. And so just model the difference. Just model the difference. You don't have to tell them or encourage them. But if they have objections when you're doing like a business consult, maybe they have objections about that in general, that's a good time to use that. Tell me more about that, you know, tell me more about that. Language. And then when you're using that language, you'll be able to find like the heart and soul of their objection, and then you can just address their exact objection. Okay. It's finally cool enough to drink. It's really good, you guys. Gotta try that. I'll post that for you. Okay. Kristen says, power of 3, if your qualifier isn't on your top line, at what point do you focus on power of 3 instead of rank? Or do you ever do that? And she says, hope that makes sense. It totally makes sense, Kristen. So it just depends. It depends on what goal you're going for. It depends on how close you are to something. It depends on how many spots you need to fill something. I have 6 qualifiers total, 6 total people in my top line. That's it. And 4 of my qualifiers rest on my top line, and 2 of them don't. One's on my 5th level and one's on my 2nd level. And so that can definitely mess up and kind of, make my power of 3 wonky. And so often we say, and Jenna has coined this phrase, like enroll in the hole. And so if you're like maybe 2 spots away from your 1500, bonus, I would say that's a great time to focus on power of 3, right? But if your immediate goal, your bridge to the next thing, maybe to the rank of gold, is smaller and it's down lower, then I would enroll like crazy and go for the rank of gold. And so it's not one or the other, and it's not always both. And it's just really circumstantial. So it just depends on how close you are for those and what your game plan is with that. But I prefer rank over power of 3 as a goal. I build for rank with power of 3 in mind. Because a lot of times if we're building for power of 3 and we have builders and activity lower in our team, we're not giving them the attention or the cultivation that they deserve. We're kind of focusing on filling holes too much. And your best effort is going to be spent on developing a builder and serving a builder and things like that, and helping them to reach some goals. So that's going to be the best return for your investment on your team. So I hope that helps you, but please know it's not black and white or cut and dry. It just depends. And there's just different strategies. I will say I've heard people before, like maybe they're struggling to get to a rank. Maybe they're in a slump, and it's kind of like, well, you know what? I haven't even looked at my power 3 in a while. Oh my gosh, I'm actually way closer to that than I thought. And that gives them a fresh vision and a fresh goal. So you could do that instead. Okay. You guys, stop with the angry faces. Seriously. It's probably your 2-year-olds pressing the button, but I'm just saying, I'm like, what am I saying that's making someone so mad right now? Do tell. Okay. Jennifer says, I'm looking for training on closing people via messenger or texting. Seems like once I try to schedule an appointment, I get crickets. Okay. So here's the deal. Closing people on texting and messenger, I've done it. I just did one this week. Very, very helpful. And it really doesn't matter on like necessarily what you say. It has way more to do with the person and how ready they are to like bite the bullet. Okay. And so no matter where I'm serving someone, I'm just serving them well. And so just serve them well in either way. If they're resistant to setting up an appointment, maybe check your language on how you're setting up an appointment. Because I would just wonder if that's happening over and over again, if that's a pattern. It's probably actually more on something that you might be saying more than in general people don't want to get together for an appointment, because many people find the opposite true. As soon as they offer to sit down and get together with someone, they're getting a good response. And so I would just say consider that, consider maybe changing your language on that. I don't know if there's a good training out there specifically on that. But just practicing on how to close and learning how to close as much as possible is going to support you no matter where you close. Because I don't necessarily close a certain way online or close in class. It's kind of all the same, and it just depends on the person. Okay, Becky says, what training do you feel brought the greatest return on your investment? That's a great question, Becky. I have done a lot of good training. Some of the best that we've done, and one we're involved in right now on my team, is with Deb Erickson. And I have just really loved the massive depth of mindset change that she brings, and the way that she educates using neuro tools and our oils along with other things to help us to break through barriers. It's really good. She's got a lot of free resources I would say dive into, see if you like her style, and then go for some coaching programs with her. But she's really good. So we've been in that, and I've really, really enjoyed that. I didn't go to it this year, but I've gone to the Business Boutique that is like a women in business weekend kind of like conference that Dave Ramsey Ministries puts on. And it's really good. I didn't go this year, but I've been to 3 of them, and I have loved that as well. And that has just really been encouraging and transformational, and helps to see tons of women really going for things. I love that too. So those are 2 that I would say. What inspired us to create Thrive Coaching is the next question. And that was, it really kind of came out of the need. We get questions all the time that I can't answer. And people who want Jenna and I's time and attention that I can't necessarily give, because it's not just like we do Live Naturally, but we also have our own teams. Our teams are very big. And we have lots of builders. And so there's just that, how do you possibly balance serving everybody well? And it's totally my heart to serve. That's why we do Tipster Tuesday as well. It's just our heart to like give what we can give. But I can't be tied to my phone, and I can't be spending my whole life answering messages because I've got turmeric lattes to make and deer to watch. And just kidding. No, I have 4 kids, and we're really involved in our community. And I don't even have to explain it. People are just busy. And so Thrive Coaching kind of came from that, of like, hey, this is our favorite top 6 leadership topics that we think that will benefit you the most. And here's some really chunky essential oil 2.0 classes that you're also going to need. And here's the tutorial and everything you need to like go with that. It's a great launching ground for you. And, and then we're accessible on ways like this, because it just got to the point where I could not even keep up with questions and all of those things. So anyway, sorry about that. I got a phone call, but it seemed to connect me back to Instagram. Okay, Tina is asking, I keep seeing your posts about turmeric and weight loss. I'd like to know more about protocol. So Tina, great question. I love oil questions. We don't talk about them enough. You can put turmeric in your steamer, your latte. But I actually take turmeric in a capsule every day, no matter what, because I don't always do this every day. And I do 2 drops of turmeric, 2 drops of yarrow palm, 2 drops of pink pepper, 2 drops of green mandarin, and I swallow that on the daily. But turmeric, what it really helps to do is helps you metabolize lipids and glucose. So it's going to help your body to assimilate the things that would usually cause you to gain weight. And so it's going to be helpful for that. It's also going to be helpful for inflammation. And what we have to understand about our body is our fat cells are actually designed to protect us. Our fat cells are a protective cell in the body. And what they do is they trap toxins and they hold it tight to keep them from wreaking havoc within our body. And so to help metabolize lipids, which are fats, it actually helps us to break down those toxins and those fat cells to help flush our body of the toxins. So you can't hurt to take turmeric. It's phenomenal. You want to take it. Hang on, my door just opened. Just give me a second. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It just like the draft pushed it open. Okay, how are we doing? We're about a half an hour, so I'll go through a couple more, okay? Kimberly, hi friend. She asked, any tips on not ignoring the child that isn't in school yet and not staying up incredibly late to work, and also not ignoring the husband? Like, how do you balance? And then I had another question about time blocking as well, I think. And so I'm just going to chat real quick about mom guilt and time blocking. And this might be the last one we're able to get to today. But first of all, mom guilt is real, and we are all in that together. And at certain times, until you can kind of sort out time blocking, it's gonna feel hard. I would say if you are a mom of littles, just have a lot of extra grace for yourself. This is the first time ever that all my kids are in school starting this year, and so I have a full day now to work on business. But you guys know, we did our business when our kids were really, really little. And so I definitely was in that grind and in that juggle through every single rank. And so what I would do is I would focus on my home and my kids in the morning. And so that meant like prepping dinner, thawing whatever meat I needed, chopping something, you know, wiping everything down, whatever I needed to do in the home, kind of getting organized for the household. And I felt really great about that. You know, got the laundry going, got those important things done. And then during nap time, that's when I would do my business. And so that's where it really comes in handy to not be wasting time with things like maybe potentially trying to brand yourself or get really good at graphics or find your favorite apps, or, you know, sometimes developing systems for your business are helpful. But like, if you only have an hour to work your business, then your hour is spent on inviting people to classes or following up with people who've enrolled, whatever those types of things may be. Okay. And then often too, like I get up early. I'm best in the morning. So if you're best in the morning, get up earlier and conquer the 1 or 2 things, 3 things that you need to do for your business early. The rest of your day will feel smooth. If you're a night owl, you could stay up late, but again, maybe that's where it comes into like a little bit of tension of like, that's when my husband is home and I need to spend time with him. And the other thing is, I would say, is like if you were in school or had a part-time job, you would have like a set time to work. And so potentially maybe you just have a night every week where like maybe you have a class and classes come up randomly, and so you don't always have a set class night, but maybe you take Tuesday night, you know, from 7 to 10 and you leave the house and you work. And so that's his night to maybe put the kids to bed or, you know, whatnot, but you have a work night or a school night, you know, because you would, if you were in class getting another degree or something like that, you would have that time. Another option is like a Sunday afternoon type of thing where, you know, maybe your kid's in bed and it's lazy. Your kids are napping and he's watching football. Maybe you leave for like 3 hours and get some work done there. So you just have to be good at time blocking and scheduling instead of every day kind of like, well, we'll see what the day brings. We'll see what happens today, you know, and then you constantly feel tension with the fact that you're not getting done what you want to get done, but you're not necessarily getting anything done. You kind of just feel scattered, and that is actually the worst place to be, I think. I'm the worst at that point too, because I find that the demand from everyone else is on me, but then my kids need me. And because I haven't blocked things off in the right ways, I'm just angry at everybody. And I will be like snappy and impatient with my kids, which I hate. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And I'm like, it's just because I slept in. I didn't get anything done that I wanted to get done today. I didn't have my like kind of day sorted and planned out the way I needed it to go. And so I just kind of let the day take over instead of me own the day. And so I say, try to own your day in that sense, but be gracious with yourself. If you have young kids, it's a short season with young kids. They will grow, you know, and maybe you just remember this also. Your kids are young and they won't remember if you were gone an extra hour when they woke up from their nap, or they won't remember that you were folding laundry and listening to videos on TerraZyme or practicing your clothes. Like, they don't remember those things, but they will remember the time that you sat on the floor and played with them and stuff. And so don't get so caught up. Like, your kids don't need your attention 8 hours a day, you know, undivided, where nothing else happens and the world revolves around them. In fact, I would argue that we're probably not teaching our kids to be prepared for real life if we are giving them that much time and attention. But the concentrated, intentional, purposeful, being present in the moment times are what's really going to count. So just think about that, and kind of like let go of the guilt, shake that off a little bit. And I bet you're doing a really good job, better than you think you're doing. So just work on some time blocking there. Okay. All right, let me see. Let me just talk about Bogo Strategy for a quick second, because that possibly is coming up. I do not have any inside scoop on that, but I would plan for it just because we've seen it time and time again. And so I would much rather be planned out and prepared for it rather than be taken by surprise and not ready, okay? So it is absolutely worth your time to spend some time this week to get organized and get ready for Bogo Strategy. So one thing I would say, my favorite strategy is being prepared for it, ready for it, ready to go. My second favorite strategy is to right now, today, pull up your graphic tree and comb through it and see if there's anyone that can be upgraded and moved to a spot on your team where their volume is going to count for rank or power of 3. That's actually a really great strategy. Let's get some like volume and stuff moved to where it would count. And so you better be working on that this week. Another thing is, I always say, pull up a spreadsheet, go into your detailed genealogy. You can create your fields. You can play around with that. If you don't know how to do that, it's a whole nother thing, but it's not hard. And you can work on that, and you can add or delete fields that you don't want, create a full spreadsheet, print that out, and have you have something to work on. And I would touch base with your customers. You know, hey, you guys, it's the holiday season. I hope that you got the holiday products you're looking for. You guys, now 3 turkeys are walking through my yard. Okay, it's like a stinking zoo here. It's like a wildlife zoo. I wish I would. Can't show you because I'll have to flip my phone around. Anyway, maybe if they're still there in a second, I'll show you. It's so distracting. I need to put up curtains. All that to say, sorry. All that to say, I would reach out to them and be like, hey, you know, notoriously, doTERRA has done BOGOs the week of Thanksgiving. Would you love to be notified of the daily BOGO if this happens? And just kind of figure out, do they want to know about it, you know, and then make your list, because on a daily basis, either you'll text it out to everybody or you'll email the deal. You got to get your strategy in place there. So I know that people collect orders. There's BOGO relays. There's lots of different teachings out there. I think whatever works for you is great. Personally, though, my favorite strategy is to enroll them. And so I'll leave you with this. This will be our last thing today is if they order BOGOs throughout the week, at the end of the week, I would send them an invoice for their order. So you wouldn't send it till the very end, and it would compare, this is what you would earn, or this is what you would owe wholesale, and this is what you owe retail. And so have their $35 membership, you know, pricing in there, and then let them know that they would get the 50 PV free as well for enrolling, and say, as you can see, it's incredibly advantageous for you to just have a wholesale account. And then you are also privy to our educational group and different things like that. And so you got to present it to them in a way it's like an offer that they can't refuse, you know? So I would do it that way. I know people have often said, well, then am I paying for BOGOs every day? Yes, you probably are. You can set up a couple things. People can Square Cash you, and then you don't have to have your Square Cash deposited into your bank. It can stay in your Square Cash. And so you can pay out of Square Cash and into Square Cash directly. So that is an option. Another thing is, you know, this is a good time to actually put something on a credit card, because you don't owe on that credit card the next day. You know, like you only have a couple of weeks or whatever to do that. So Tiffany, I saw your question pop up, and it said, what would they enroll with? They would roll with a $35 membership. So obviously, because you ordered their BOGOs all week, but they would have that membership. And then potentially, so say if it's the last day, I would order, oh, that's such a good question. Now I feel stumped because I see what you're saying. What if they enroll $35 membership at the end of the week? They're not going to have any oils to get the 50 PV free. Good point. And so potentially I would say, you know, maybe put together a bundle for them. Maybe see if they want to get a kit at that point. You know, it just depends. But 50 PV aside, just pretend that doesn't exist even. You know, I would give them the option for it. Hey, did you know you could still get this? Here's the deal. Or you still want them to see the price difference between retail and wholesale and get that wholesale account secured, okay? So there's that. The other thing, guys, is because of the promotion this month with the 50 PV free, you could do it on the front end. You could say, like, let's get your account sorted, let's get it set up, because then if you have BOGOs that you want to get any day, you can go ahead and order them on your account and let them order them on their own account, which is always my choice. Like, I always want people to order on their own account. And that is why I said before, scrub your tree and help move people where it's going to support your organization the best, because then when they do order on their own account, everything is above board. When we get tricky into like collecting orders and different things, it just can get complicated, and we want to make sure we're doing everything right. Okay. So BOGO strategy, there, we did a Tipster Tuesday on that, probably either in July or February before we had BOGOs recently. or in this past year, so you can go back into our videos. And just so you guys know, a lot of you have asked before, hey, where's the video from last week, or where's this? There's a couple places you can find us. We have our Instagram, which is Live Naturally Tools, which you're probably on right now, and our Facebook group, which is Live Naturally System. And all of our videos are archived in Live Naturally System inside the video tab, okay? So just remember that. A lot of them are there. So you can look there. Some of you were looking on Live Naturally Tools, which is just our Facebook page, which only like models our Instagram. Our Instagram posts straight to Live Naturally Tools. So that's really the only thing that you see there. We don't engage there a lot on that page. It's mostly in the group. So we can support you with these Facebook Lives and then on our Instagram, okay? So hopefully that helps you guys. I love doing question and answer. I'll try to get in and answer the questions that I didn't get to and just direct you to the right places to find your answers as well. But go back to the archived videos if you're looking for things, like especially on, somebody was asking like about new leads. There's an archive video just from a few weeks ago on that one as well. There's a couple of videos on placement strategies, which I do realize we'll do some more of, because that is by far and away the #1 question we ever get is placement strategy and structure. So we will help you with that too. You guys, we'll see you next week on Tuesday. Thanks for joining in. Love everybody.